All right, so you've been waiting and practicing. You practiced for 4 whole hours your whole life for this exact moment. So let me paint the scene for you. You're outside at your house, right? And your neighbor's collapsed. What do you think you should do? Well, the first thing to do is going to be call 911, right? Right, you want to call 911. And then what's the next step for you? Well, hold on a second. Why would you call 911? Don't you know everything you need to do to bring them back to life? No, you don't. So CPR is only designed to keep the body alive as long as possible. It takes the shock of an AED or medication to bring somebody back to life. So this is why it's so important to call for 911 first. So back to the scene, you've called for 911, they're on their way, right? You go over, pucker your lips up, get them ready to go, right? Hold on a second. This isn't that cute neighbor from a couple of doors down. This is Earl. Earl probably has never seen the inside of a dentist office before, and you're pretty sure you saw him chewing on his toenails one day. So why would you want to go and mouth to mouth on Earl, right? Right, you wouldn't. So what if I told you you could do just hands-only CPR, right? Hands-only, no mouth to mouth. You want to save Earl, but not quite sure where he's been, right? Okay, so no mouth to mouth, or we would just do chest compressions. But let's go back to why. Why does that work? Well, are you an expert? No, you're not an expert, right? It's not something you do every day. So what if you were to breathe into Earl and instead it inflated his stomach and not his lungs, right? Food goes down the same pipe. You could inflate his stomach. Well, let's think of it a different way as well. Imagine if you were holding your breath. How long could you hold your breath for? You know, most people say like a minute, 2 minutes, something like that, right? The rule of thumb is usually 3 minutes without air before you were to pass out. What if I told you there's about 10 minutes of air in your system, but it's not circulating? So what you want to do is get that air circulating. The world record for holding your breath is over 24 minutes. As a matter of fact, there's a tribe in Southeast Asia. It's a nomadic sea tribe. They dive underwater for 10 to 13 minutes at a time to do fishing. So they hold their breath 10 to 13 minutes at a time. They do this for 5 hours a day. All that is just saying there's enough oxygen in here, it's not circulating. So the whole point of compressions is to circulate the oxygen you already have in your system to do what? What do you think it's for? Is it to keep the heart alive? No, we do compressions to circulate the blood and oxygen to keep the brain alive. Remember, we have technology now where we can take out pretty much anything else and put it in somebody else and it'll work. But once this is gone, it's gone. So we like to think of it as for every minute you're not doing chest compressions, there's about a 10% likely chance of them losing some brain function. So just imagine if Earl collapsed and you looked at him and were like, not today, Earl. I'll just wait for EMS to get there. And it takes EMS 10 minutes to get there, and they bring Earl back. Who did they bring back? They didn't bring back Earl. They brought back an organ donor. Does that make sense? All right, now let's think of it a different way. What kind of air would you be giving Earl if you were breathing into him? Is that the same thing that he normally breathes? No. That's essentially your waste. Does it have some air in there? Is there still oxygen in there? Yeah, there's some. It's not the same amount, and it also has a lot more carbon dioxide. So you actually breathe that into Earl's system, and it can build up. And that just makes it that much harder to give him oxygen when the time comes. Now let's think of it one more way, why we wouldn't want to go kissing on Earl. Do you think one compression would be enough to get the blood flow from where we're pushing it all the way down to the bottom of Earl, all the way back up to here where we want it to go? No, it takes 4 or 5 beats. So if the oxygen's already in the system, and we would be giving him something that's somewhat toxic, it's our waste if we breathe it into him, right? And we stopped every 30 pushes to give 4 or 5 beats that don't count, you see how that might make a little less sense? So really the rule of thumb is for the first 10 minutes. The first 10 minutes Earl is down, you only want to do compressions. The whole key is time. Time is what's killing Earl. You don't want to waste that time to keep him alive. So you want to go palm of your hand to the center of his chest as soon as possible. You lock your fingers and you lock your elbows. And the reason I say that is if your elbows are bent, your arms are part of the recoil and they get tired quickly. You use your muscles to push down. As soon as you lock your arms, you let your body weight push down for you and be the rock for you. So you just rock and compress. And you're going to do it to the same rhythm as Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. If you're younger and like something a little more hip, how about Beyonce's Crazy in Love? That'll work too, right? So the whole point is to keep in here, keep the heart beating. You want it to go all the way down and refill, which is one reason we say don't go too fast. You obviously don't want to go too slow because you want to get as much oxygen as you can there. But if you go too fast, you don't get that heart time to refill. So if you go too fast, it doesn't have the chance to refill and be able to push as much possible blood as it could. Does that make sense? All right. So, Earl's collapsed. You've called 911. We're not wasting any time. We go right to the center of his chest, interlock our fingers, lock our elbows, and we're going to push hard and fast to the rhythm of Staying Alive. What is the whole point of CPR? What is the point of our compressions? That is to keep Earl alive as long as possible. It is not to bring him back. It is very rare for CPR to bring somebody back to life. It takes an AED or the shock you see on TV or medication to re-stimulate that heart to beat on its own. So, 911 has come, you've been doing compressions, they get an AED there, you help hook it up. What's the first thing you do for the AED? It's turn it on. Why do you turn it on? Well, because of all that panic and all that thought about how much you didn't want to kiss on Earl, you forgot the simplest thing to do, turn it on. It tells you everything you have to do after that. So you turn it on, it tells you to hook him up. Why did we hook it up on Earl like this? Why not stick it a whole lot closer? Why not right here? Well, no, why not put it right over the heart, huh? Why not right there? Well, there's an important reason. Number one, you want the electricity to go through the heart. It can't touch pad to pad because electricity is going from pad to pad. So you want it to go through the heart. So you're going to have the top right to the bottom left, and that'll give the normal pathway of electricity for the heart. AED's designed to reset the heart, not restart the heart. So if there's no heartbeat whatsoever, I'm not talking about rhythm, but if there's no heartbeat whatsoever, it's not going to work. And that's why you have to have medication as well. And that's why it's so important to make sure you call 911 first and then go straight to the center of the chest. All right, and I hope that makes sense. If you want, grab yourself a stress ball. You want one about 2.5, 3 inches, and that'll give you your depth of your compressions. And so you just practice at home. Don't forget to put Staying Alive on your playlist for when you work out. And make sure you practice more than that 4 hours that you learned years ago. All right, thank you.